Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. This is going to be my first real update on my Gnoll Army Building Log for Oathmark. Going to be planning on using them as orcs to begin with, and then possibly coming up with my own homebrew rules down the line. So I just recently finished up my first full unit of troops. They are going to be acting as soldiers, so your basic run of the mill troop type. I did some very basic conversion work on some of them. This is, I believe, he's using an axe from the old War Games factory, which is now owned by Warlord Orc Set. I got that out of. The shield comes from a Warlord's Roman Veterans unit. Then over here for my standard bearer on this unit, I just drilled out an axe hand and put in a lance from the Fireforge Templar Cavalry box set. I've got more plastic bits floating around than is probably good for me, so I'm able to draw on a lot of different resources when I'm putting together a new unit. So I'm probably going to use tin foil for the banner itself and paint on a very sort of basic, either maybe bone motif or maybe a paw or a claw or something very bestial to kind of fit with the gnolls and their predatory nature. Oh, sorry about the camera zoom. I'm going to have to invest, I think, in a tripod for further videos. And yeah, just did some more conversion work on these, mainly to make up for the bits that were missing from the Frostgrave Gnoll set. So again, this is a shield from a Fireforge Templar kit. Here I gave this little fella a sword from the Warlord Orc set, and the shield is what also comes from there. I think that's very fitting. It's sort of got that scrap feel to it, just a few wooden boards nailed together. I don't imagine gnolls as being very industrious. More so than even like orcs or goblins, I think that they would just pick up whatever's at hand, make basic weapons out of it, because they still have sort of a feral, animalistic mindset. They're very anxious just to get to the hunting and the killing and the eating part, not so much into crafting or the preparation part. And then for my unit leader, possibly might be using him as a captain or a champion in the future, just a Frostgrave Gnoll chieftain. He's got a nice heroic pose standing on the rock there, so I didn't really do anything else to him. My unit musician, I'm not entirely pleased with him. I kind of just snipped off a hornblower's hand from the Fireforge Templar's musician. It's not focusing very well, but it's got some chainmail on it, which I think should be fine, seeing as the gnolls are wearing scraps of armor. And they're supposed to, if following the orc rules for this unit, they would be wearing light armor. In my mind, though, I think when I come to make my own sort of house rules for the gnolls, that your average soldier unit will be unarmored. Because if you look at the models, I'm fairly a strong supporter of WYSIWYG within reason. But like if you can see, there's not really much armor going on this model or any of the models. So I was thinking one way to distinguish these creatures from orcs in the future would be to make it so that they are sort of down armored compared to orcs. So you would have soldiers with no armor, and then your line breakers and warriors would only have light armor. And that is going to be my next project. I think I'm going to do up a unit of line breakers. I went out and, or I didn't go out, but I ordered not long ago to work on a Middenheim project that's kind of gotten on the back burner. But, so I went out and I bought a mold to make chainmail, and I don't think it's showing up very well. So I'm going to be trying to make little chainmail patches and suits and put those on another box of the plastic Gnolls to at least give sort of an impression of light armor on that unit as compared to this unit. And then again, of course, when I'm running them as orcs, it'll count as heavy armor. I picked up all the pewter characters from Frostgrave for the Gnolls that I could find. This is likely to be my king or general. He's kind of an intimidating fellow there with a horned helm, heavy-ish armor, a nice two-handed axe. This will be my shaman, sort of casting all those primal, gribbly spells that Gnolls would be known for. Champion or captain, probably as needed. I'm not going to be too picky about that. This is, I believe, the knight model for the Gnolls from Frostgrave. This guy is the barbarian from Frostgrave. Very likely just going to use him as a champion because he looks like he just wants to get stuck in there. He's got a big old bone to bash people with. So he's all about the combat, not so much about the thinking. Down the road, I am planning, I ordered from Brigade Games some hyenas to go along with this tracker guy to do up a unit of sort of war dogs or war hyenas. I'm still waiting on the rest of them to come in. I think they're back ordered from North Star. So once that happens, I'm going to try to get a unit of 10 of them up and running. Right now, I'm also kind of trying, I have these old Reaper Gnolls I got way back in the day. Probably when, probably like 03 or something, just because I really love the models. Trying to figure out something I can do with them in this army. See, there's a very primitive paint job from a long time ago. And it's all scuffed up from being thrown in my random miniatures box. Just trying to think of some way to work them in, because if you look at them, they're about twice the size of the Frostgrave Gnolls, which is fine. I just, like I said, I just got to figure out what I can do with them. So I'm gonna have to try to get some primer on these guys. Unfortunately, my local game store has not opened up again since shutting down for COVID, which is very unfortunate. It was only about 10 minutes away from me. I don't think there was a store that had more gaming space than this. This was Legion's in Pittsburgh. Lots of different varieties of paints and supplies, but it just has not managed to open up again since having to shut down for COVID. So I'm likely going to have to make the long drive out to the GW store to grab some primer for these guys. And hopefully my next update will show some paint on everything. All right. I apologize for the poor lighting and any echoing. This is actually not my normal hobby area. I've kind of been forced to move everything in here while I redo different parts of the house due to some water damage. But hopefully everything will be up to speed next time. And like I said before, comments, criticisms are welcome. Good luck. Have fun in your own games and your hobbies for Oathmark. And I will talk to you later.